Today's Pledge of Allegiance is by Matthew Hawkins, CSU Pueblo, from Pueblo, Colorado.
Good morning, everyone. If you will please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Randall, please call the roll.
Representatives Arndt, Becker J, Becker K, Beckman, Benavides, Representative Benavides,
Excused.
Bridges, Buck, Buckner, Carver, Catlin, Coleman, Covarrubias, Danielson, Representative Danielson, Escar, Everett, Exum, Foote,
Representative Foote, excused.
Garnett, Janal, Gray, Hamner, Hanson, Harrod, Hooten, Humphrey, Jackson, Kennedy, Kraft Tharp, Landgraf, Lawrence, Lebsock, Lee, Leonard, Lewis, Liston, Lontine, Representative Lontine, Lundeen, McKean, McLaughlin, Melton, Michelson Janae, Representative Michelson Janae,
Excused.
Mitch Bush, Navarro, Neville, Nordberg, Pabon, Representative Pabon, Pedersen,
Excused.
Rankin, Representative Rankin,
Excused.
Ransom, Rosenthal, Sane, Salazar, Sias, Singer, Thurlow, Valdez, Van Winkle, Weissman, Willett, Williams, Wilson, Representative Wilson. Oh, there it is. Winter, Wist, Young. Madam Speaker.
Present.
Benavides, Michelson, Janae, Pedersen, and Rankin.
Representative Benavides is present. Representative Michelson Janae is present. With 63 present and 2 excused, we have a quorum. Representative Jackson, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the reading of the Journal of Friday, March 10th, 2017 be dispensed with and approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Members, you have heard the motion. All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes. Announcements and introductions. Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to introduce Fountain School District 8th grade. Should be in the gallery. Are you in the gallery? They may have gone over to the Senate, but if you see a bunch of 8th graders, please welcome them. And maybe they'll come in later. I also wanted to remind everybody that today is the Veterans Caucus. Downstairs, 1112. Lunch will be served. It's going to be a great event.
Announcements and introductions. Further announcements or introductions? Seeing no further announcements or introductions, Madam Majority Leader.
What's the resolution number?
1015.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to proceed out of order for the immediate consideration of House Joint Resolution 1015.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader Becker. Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order for the immediate consideration of HJR 1015. Members, we are doing a resolution. Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1015 and request that it be read at length.
Whereas Marine Corps Captain Jeff Coos was born in 1984 in Durango, Colorado to Michael and Janet Coos. And whereas as a child, Captain Coos always preferred playing with toy planes, and he began flying at the age of 15. And whereas Captain Coos attended Durango High School, graduating in 2002, and Fort Lewis College, graduating in 2006, with a degree in economics. And whereas Captain Coos joined the United States Marine Corps and served a deployment in the Middle East. And whereas Captain Coos started a career in aviation in July 2007, when he reported to the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida, and went on to graduate from the Navy Fighter Weapons School, also known as Top Gun, in 2012. And whereas Captain Coos was one of only 3 pilots selected to join the Blue Angels in 2014, an elite United States Navy flight demonstration squadron, and accumulated more than 1,400 flight hours and 175 landings on aircraft carriers. And whereas a huge fan of the Denver Broncos, Captain Coos, a member of the 2016 Blue Angels team, was one of 6 pilots who flew over Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California for Super Bowl 50. And whereas on June 2nd, 2016, Captain Coos was training for a Blue Angels air show in Smyrna, Tennessee, when his plane went down during a split-S maneuver. And whereas Captain Coos was able to avoid nearby neighborhoods and schools, but he was unable to eject from the jet in time to save his own life, dying that day at age 32. And whereas during his career, Captain Coos received various awards, including the Strike Flight Air Medal and the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medals, and he received various personal and unit awards. And whereas Captain Coos had climbed all the 14ers in Colorado and was known as a humble, sweet, focused, hardworking man dedicated to his country, and he will be sorely missed. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 71st General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the Senate concurring herein, that the Colorado State Highway 3 be renamed the Captain Jeff Coos Memorial Highway, that the Colorado Department of Transportation may accept and expend gifts, grants, and donations for the purpose of the initial placement of the 2 signs to mark Colorado State Highway 3 as the Captain Jeff Coos Memorial Highway. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to Captain Coos's wife, Christina Coos, and his children, Calvin and Sloan, his parents, Michael and Janet Coos, his brother, Eric Coos, and the Durango High School Alumni Association.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Jeff was simply wonderful,
And I just need you to know that. His mother described him with 3 very accurate adjectives: humble, humorous, and handsome. And he was very well loved in Durango. So I'd like to thank Janet and Michael Coos, if you could stand up today, for coming, his parents. And then he also has his cousins, Aaron Doolittle, Bonnie Doolittle, and Maren Stransky. I'd like to give them all a loving, warm round of applause. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is a passage of HJR 1015. All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying no. HJR 1015 is adopted. Representative McLaughlin.
Madam Speaker and members, I move that the current roll call of the House be added as co-sponsors of House Joint Resolution 1015.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call will be listed as co-sponsors of HJR 1015. Thank you, Representative McLaughlin. Message from the Senate.
Madam Speaker, the Senate has adopted and transmits herewith Senate Joint Resolution 16.
Introduction of resolution.
Senate Joint Resolution 16 by Senator Crowder, also Representative Thurlow, concerning the installation of a sculpture and an explanatory plaque to memorialize the victims of the Sand Creek Massacre of November 29, 1864 on the state capitol grounds.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to suspend the rules for the immediate consideration of SJR 1016.
Seeing no objection, the rules will be suspended for the immediate consideration of SJR 16. Representative Thurlow.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I move SJR 17016.
SJR 16 has been properly moved. Would somebody like to speak to the resolution? Or would you like it read at length?
Madam Speaker, no, I don't request that we read it at length.
Okay. Would you like to speak to the resolution? Representative Thurlow.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, members. Please be seated. The reason I'm on this resolution is Senator Crowder asked me to be on the resolution, and I think he timed it so that it's the same day that House Bill 1187 got sent to the State Affairs in the Senate, so he thought the Sand Creek Massacre would be an appropriate day to do that. So, not knowing much about the massacre, I asked Representative Salazar to come speak to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Thurlow. Representative Salazar.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Representative Thurlow. You know, we've heard this resolution an awful lot for those of you who have been here past numerous terms and sessions. We've heard this resolution quite a bit, and the massacre that took place and the fact that for the first time ever, just a couple of years back, the governor of the state of Colorado apologized for the massacre that took the lives of the majority being children and women. And it was the 150th anniversary of that we looked at just a couple of years ago, and it still resonates with the Native community even today. There's an awful lot of discussion about what historic trauma means. Where does that come from? And some people say, well, why can't you just get over things that happened over 150 years ago? And how the American Indian community describes it is that, yes, that massacre happened over 150 years ago, but the atrocities are still continuing every single day. The removal of peoples from their indigenous homeland is historic trauma. Being placed under government rule is historic trauma. And since the Sand Creek Massacre, we've had children removed from families, which is historic trauma. My own great-grandmother was removed from her tribe, and our family suffers from historic trauma because an entire culture was removed when that child was removed. My best friend, my childhood friend, who's Navajo, his parents were sent to boarding school. And let's not forget what happened at the boarding schools with physical and sexual abuse to indigenous children in an attempt to wipe out their culture. That's historic trauma. So when we talk about Sand Creek Massacre, we can't talk about it just in a vacuum of a few hundred men, women, and children dying on that day. We have to talk about it in a holistic sense, about what happened afterwards. It's important to remember this aspect of Colorado history, that, as we say, we should never forget. We say that about the Holocaust, and there are other things, other tragedies and travesties that have happened where we should never forget. Because when we never forget these things, then hopefully we're not doomed to repeat it. I stand firmly with Senate Joint Resolution 16 because just on a personal level, I understand it. Just on a personal level, I get why the American Indian community doesn't ever want to forget. Thank you very much, Representative Thurlow. And I hope that we're able to raise funds for this memorial so that way we won't forget, and our children and our grandchildren also will never forget.
Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also want to urge the members to support this joint resolution. You know, this fall, I was able to go with a group of people up to the Sand Creek site. And any of you that are interested, they have a beautiful museum there to see what happened. And there's people that go there every day. And that's a testament to how this trauma continues to impact people's lives. You know, I've read several books on this and talked to people whose relatives were there. And it doesn't go away. These young people who have been impacted by this, and you may not know this, but annually for many years, there has been people that start at the Sand Creek site and run and walk all the way from there in November annually. When they get to Denver, they stop at Riverside Cemetery where Silas Sewell is buried. And they have a ceremony and they read the letters where he was in the military and spoke and testified against the massacre that happened. And then they finally end their run here on the Capitol steps. And they every year have a ceremony outside at the Capitol. And, you know, the tears continue to flow. And 2 years ago, when it was the anniversary of this, DU did a program that was a year long to talk about how they could do something about this because Governor Evans, who is also the founder of DU and was in part responsible for what occurred. And it was only 2 years ago that our governor, Hickenlooper, formally apologized to the descendants of the Sand Creek Massacre and for the role that Colorado played in that massacre. So I think this is long overdue, and it's a huge step forward, and I wholeheartedly support this and hope that you will as well. And I thank all of the sponsors and Representative Thurlow for bringing this. Thank you.
Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I rise in very strong support of this Senate Joint Resolution 16. And members, this is the sort of resolution that we bring up because it brings up a very difficult chapter in our state's history that we must always remember, because there are scars. Members, we still have scars from this horrific event that was perpetrated on innocent people at Sand Creek. And it wasn't just that they were shot, it was that they were brutalized. I have had the chance to look into and research more into the Sand Creek Massacre. As some of you know, I'm a teacher. I work in a youth correctional facility. I actually teach Colorado history. And so I learn a lot about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the beginnings of our state. And this is something that actually I teach an entire week about the Sand Creek Massacre, and we read original texts, we read about Silas Sewell, we read about the trial of Chivington, and about Governor Evans and how complicit he was in this. And what I always try to do is to relate what's still, the scars that are still evident, that are still visible today. And one of the things is, for example, that in Denver, Evans Avenue is still called Evans Avenue. It should not. In my view, we should rename it, possibly for Chief Black Kettle. I think that would be fitting. But some of the story of the brutality perpetrated against the Native Americans at Sand Creek is that we also need to understand that when they were brutalized, there were body parts cut off of the Native Americans, and that they were brought to Denver and paraded around the city, including around near the Capitol. And that's a scar that we have to recognize. And that's why this resolution is so important, to make sure that we recognize it with a memorial, and that, in my view, we should be doing more than gifts, grants, and donations. We should be actually expending state funds, but sadly we can't. Nevertheless, I hope that you all will also support this resolution so we could recognize those who perished and the terrible injustice in our state at Sand Creek. Thank you, members, and thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to clarify a little bit of background about this resolution. The State Capitol Building Advisory Committee can receive recommendations for memorials at the state capitol grounds. And if they agree with that, it goes to Capitol Development Committee. Capitol Development Committee voted on it this summer. And then the governor also approves. And so we don't have many memorials around the Capitol building, and I think this is a worthy one. And I just want to take 1 minute to read what the proposed language for the plaque will read. At daybreak, November 29, 1864, Colorado U.S. volunteers attacked a Cheyenne and Arapaho village at Sand Creek in southeastern Colorado Territory that had been guaranteed safety and protection by the U.S. Army. Cheyenne Chief Black Kettle flew an American flag and a white flag of truce over his lodge. Yet the 675 troops, supported by 4 howitzers, swept the village, killing 230 Cheyenne and Arapaho, mostly women, children, babies, and the elderly, and wounding another 200. But for the courageous action of 2 veteran battalion commanding officers, Captain Silas Sewell and Lieutenant Joseph A. Kramer, who ordered their companies to stand down and not fire, the entire village of 750 would have been annihilated. Soldiers then mutilated the dead, carrying trophies to Denver to display them at a theater production. The Sand Creek Massacre opened full-scale war on the Western Plains. 33 chiefs were present at Sand Creek. Of those, 18 were killed. Chief Crow, Cheyenne, Spotted Crow, Cheyenne, Left Hand, Arapaho, Bose, Arapaho, Heap of Buffalo, Arapaho, Bear Man, a Cheyenne, War Bonnet, Cheyenne, Lone Bear, AKA One Eye, Cheyenne, Yellow Wolf, Cheyenne, Bear Tongue, Cheyenne, White Antelope, Cheyenne, Little Robe, Cheyenne, Sand Hill, a Cheyenne, Left Hand, a Cheyenne, Two Thighs, a Cheyenne, Red Arm, a Cheyenne, Tall Bull, a Cheyenne, Black Horse, a Cheyenne, and Cutlet Bear, a Cheyenne. The Sand Creek National Historic Site is located in Kiowa County near Eads, Colorado. And I just want to say this is all privately funded. In fact, a former boss of mine from several years ago who actually fired me funded this whole thing. And I'm glad, you know, the money he saved on my employment is going to such a worthwhile cause. Thank you.
Wow. Further discussion, Representative Weissman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm glad we're taking the time for this resolution because in one respect, our Native American history in Colorado and in the West and in the country is all around us. We have taken from the Native people who came before us certain place names, Arapahoe County, Cheyenne County, Kiowa County, Ouray County, to name a few. And on the other hand, I think it's too easy to forget the full history or to never wrap our heads around it. Starting at least as far back as the 1600s and really sooner, the wheels of justification started to turn. And there ensued a very sad history. As a law student a couple years ago, I had occasion to study what in the law is called Indian law, or you might call it Native American law, and I had occasion to read most of the cases that have ever come before our Supreme Court, considering the rights of Native American nations and how those intersect with the rest of our law. And on balance, it is a very sad history. In 100+ years, there have been a few cases that have come down to, in some ways, uphold at that time the rights of Native nations. But overall, and including in about the last 10 or 15 years and the cases that have come down from the present Supreme Court, the history of what you would call Indian law is a history of the diminishment and the debasement of sovereignty. And while we are unable to change what came hundreds of years before us, I hope that all of us, particularly in Colorado, particularly in the West, take the time to wrap our heads around the history and let ourselves be informed about what it should say about our obligations today.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is a passage of SJR 16. All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying no. SJR 16 is adopted. There is objection to using the roll call for co-sponsors. So Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Co-sponsors. Further co-sponsors? Mr. Randall, please close the machine. All right, that brings us to our next order of business, which is third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1220.
House Bill 1220 by Representatives Becker, Kaye, and Wist, all Senators Gardner and Fields, concerning measures to stop diversion of legal marijuana to the illegal market.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1220 on third reading and final passage.
Okay. Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And before I start, I want to thank both of the bill sponsors for the time and consideration that they've put into this bill. And for the understanding, we heard this on second reading, that this is not quite yet a finished product. I understand that we've got houses in Colorado that are unfortunately being gutted and used for criminal enterprises. And when that puts public safety at risk, we need to do something. The question is, are we casting too wide of a net? And I think that's why you saw the bill sort of start off with a bang, but slowly slowly slow down and come to the point where we are today, where we saw so many amendments on the floor on Friday, and we'll probably see another product come out of the Senate. So as a quick history lesson, 2 years ago I ran a bill that dealt with this issue because I saw the same thing. How do we protect patients? How do we protect kids with cancer, people with seizures, and at the same time stamp out a black market that leads to things far more awful than marijuana use? And so we passed a bill that created a registry that just went online, but that registration isn't mandatory yet. So how can we fix this product? How can we make this a better product? And the question I'm left with today is another part of that bill that we passed 2 years ago. A few of you might remember a kid that I helped out a couple years ago. We ran an amendment that is probably the one thing that I might be remembered for last year, which is helping kids go to school when they have their medical marijuana recommendation and not have to choose between their education and their medication. That idea started with a Senate Bill 2015, Senate Bill 14, which dealt with patients and caregivers. But this body saw it fit to make sure that at the same time that we were putting new limitations on, that we included new protections for those who needed them most. And I'm left asking this question in my head. That mom that took care of Jack, who sadly passed away just this summer, that mom would be potentially a criminal under this bill. And now that I know where her house is, now that I know where she lives and how many plants she's growing, if she still had that kid, would I be a criminal? Would you be a criminal for not reporting this? These are the questions that need to be answered in the Senate. And I just want to thank the House sponsors for assuring that we're going to continue to have those conversations, and that unfortunately, when we come back on Senate concurrence, I can guarantee you if we get a better product out of this, not only will I be a yes vote, but I promise I will not hiss on concurrences. So with that, members, I encourage you to vote your conscience today. I still have some questions, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is a passage of House Bill 1220 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please close the machine. With 55 yes votes, 10 no votes, House Bill 1220 is passed. Co-sponsors. Mr. Randall, please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1106.
House Bill 1106 by Representatives Pedersen and Wilson, now Senator Martinez-Humana, concerning the Early Childhood Leadership Commission.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1106 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of House Bill 1106 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Representative Buckner. Please close the machine. With 42 yes votes, 23 no votes, House Bill 1106 is passed. Co-sponsors. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1070.
House Bill 1070 by Representative Wilson, all Senators Corum and Donovan, concerning the use of unmanned aircraft systems to perform government functions relating to certain public safety functions, and in connection therewith requiring the Center of Excellence within the Department of Public Safety to perform and study and operate a pilot program.
Assistant Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1070 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1070 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please close the machine. With 58 yes votes, 7 no votes, House Bill 1070 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1158.
House Bill 1158 by Representative McKean, House Senator Smallwood, concerning the regulation of charitable solicitations by the Secretary of State and in connection therewith modifying and clarifying filing requirements and enforcement of the Colorado Charitable Solicitations Act.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1158 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of House Bill 1158 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please close the machine. With 65 yes votes, 0 no votes, House Bill 1158 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 77.
Senate Bill 77 by Senator John House Representatives Willett and Kraft Tharp, concerning the eligibility of certain government agencies to apply for a special event permit to sell alcohol beverages.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 77 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of Senate Bill 77 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Representative, all right, please close the machine. With 64 yes votes, 1 no vote, Senate Bill 77 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 134.
Senate Bill 134 by Senator Tate, House Representatives Harrod and Nordberg, concerning the exclusion of certain areas of an alcohol beverage licensee's operation and the application of penalties for certain violations.
Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 134 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of Senate Bill 134 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please close the machine. With 64 yes votes, 1 no vote, Senate Bill 134 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1110.
House Bill 1110 by Representative Beckman, also Senator Todd, concerning juvenile court jurisdiction regarding matters related to parental responsibilities in a juvenile delinquency case.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1110 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of House Bill 1110 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no further discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please close the machine. With 65 yes votes, 0 no votes, House Bill 1110 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1138.
House Bill 1138 by Representative Salazar, also Senator Williams, concerning the reporting of hate crimes by law enforcement agencies.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1138 on third reading and final passage.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, I spoke about this bill yesterday. It's rare that I come down on third readings, but I'm having a hard time with this one. And it's because, you can see I'm a co-sponsor on this bill. I believe wholeheartedly in what this bill's intent is, and that is to address hate crimes across our state, to address the importance of that, to address it with our law enforcement and make sure that they understand the importance of that, especially during this time. This time in our country and our state where we're seeing things develop in our communities, spray paint being done and things being said and things being tense. And so for all those reasons, I support this bill. However, there was an amendment added on in judiciary which I was reluctant to not object to, but it waters this bill down. And so while I'll still support this because it's a step forward, it's not a leap. And I believe that this bill in its original form would be a leap forward to addressing hate crimes and to making sure that our communities and everyone within those communities, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of sexual orientation, that all those people have some protections by our public service officials, and that those statistics and these crimes are brought to much greater attention. And so with that, members, I again just want to say that this is a yes vote for me, but it is a somber yes vote. And as you all vote your conscience, I want you to remember how far we could have gone with this bill.
Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And this bill did come out of judiciary unanimously because of the amendment. And let me tell you why we had to amend the bill. Because it generated a big fiscal note, much larger than what I thought that it would. And we simply just don't have it in the budget to take that big leap that Representative Melton was talking about, which is something that I wanted to do. I wanted to take the big leap. And there's a reason for it. We see what's happening in this country today. As a matter of fact, just this weekend alone, there are some concerns that are happening across the nation and even right here in home in the state of Colorado. We have mosques under threat. We have synagogues under threat. We have the LGBT community suffering from these horrific crimes. And it's not just about the individual. When you go to someone's house and you spray paint on their property certain words, like what happened in the Colorado Springs area or what happened in Aurora, it's not just targeted towards that person. It terrorizes communities. That's why we have prohibitions. We have a crime against bias-motivated acts. Years ago, the General Assembly found it fit to make it a crime, to target people because of who they are. And I really wanted this bill to be much bigger and go much farther than what it does. But we can't do that. And I want to thank one of my colleagues from the opposite end of the aisle on working with me on this bill. I know that we're not supposed to call out names, and I'm afraid of calling out any names even with praise. But she really worked with me on this to get it to its final form. And that's a big step in my book of how we can work together to benefit people and to ensure that hate crimes are being adequately reported to the General Assembly. And that's what the amendment does. It just says that every year for SMART Act hearings, that the Department of Public Safety, whatever information they get from law enforcement on hate crimes, will be reported to the General Assembly during SMART Act. That's all the bill does now. We don't have that happening. We don't get those statistics here at the General Assembly to find out where hate crimes are occurring and at what frequency. So that's what the bill does now. It did come out of the House Judiciary unanimously. I thank my fellow Doghouse Dem for speaking as passionately as he did on it, and I ask for a yes vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is a passage of House Bill 1138 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please close the machine. With 45 yes votes, 20 no votes, House Bill 1138 is passed. Co-sponsors. Co-sponsors. Mr. Randall, please close the machine. Please read the title of Senate Bill 31.
Senate Bill 31 by Senator Tate, also Representative Arndt, concerning the scheduled repeal of reports by the Department of Corrections to the General Assembly.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 31 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of Senate Bill 31 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Madam Majority Leader Becker. Please close the machine. With 65 yes votes, 0 no votes, Senate Bill 31 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to proceed out of order for the consideration of Senate amendments to House bills.
Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order for the consideration of Senate amendments to House bills. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1044.
House Bill 1044 by Representative Mitch Bush, off Senator Todd, concerning autocycles and in connection therewith clarifying that an autocycle is a type of motorcycle and requiring autocycle drivers and passengers to use safety belts and, if applicable, child safety restraints.
Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that we concur on the Senate amendments to House Bill 17-1044.
Representative Mitch Bush, would you like to tell us why?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Actually, these were very good cleanup amendments. There were two of them. The first one simply deletes the existing, not existing, that would be existing with the original bill, statutory reference to autocycle license plates. There is no such thing as an autocycle license plate. So that's a cleanup. The second thing is that the Senate looked at an unintended consequence and essentially said, look, you don't really need to have a motorcycle endorsement for an autocycle. Those are the two changes, and I would again ask for concurrence.
Thank you, Representative Mitch Bush. The question before us is whether we will concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1044. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Representative Zayas. Please close the machine. With 61 yes votes, 4 no votes, motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1044 is passed. Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1044 as amended.
The question before us is a repassage of House Bill 1044 as amended. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please close the machine. With 63 yes votes, 2 no votes, House Bill 1044 is repassed as amended. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1092.
House Bill 1092 by Representative Lebsack, off Senator Tate, concerning contracts involving license royalties with the proprietors of retail establishments that publicly perform music.
Representative Lebsack.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I move that the House concur with Senate amendments.
Would you like to explain why, Representative Lebsack?
Yes, Madam Chair. Members, if you look on page 4, the Secretary of State asked us to make this minor amendment on the Senate side, and it just simply states that even though we're asking the Secretary of State to do some filing, that the Secretary of State has no duty to determine whether the documents filed comply, and so we're not going to make policemen out of the Secretary of State's office. We're asking them to file the documents, but it's totally appropriate for us to amend the bill to make it absolutely explicitly clear that we're not turning the Secretary of State into a policing agency. So I ask for a yes vote.
Thank you, Representative Lepsak. The question before us is whether we will concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1092. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please close the machine. With 64 yes votes, 1 no votes, motion can concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1092 is passed. Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1092 as amended.
The question before us is a repassage of House Bill 1092 as amended. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Representative Pabon, please close the machine. With 46 yes votes, 19 no votes, House Bill 1092 is repassed as amended. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1015.
House Bill 1015 by Representative Hooten, also Senator Cook, concerning clarifying the manner in which reductions of inmate sentences are administered in county jails.
Representative Hooten.
Yes, good morning, Madam Speaker. Madam, I move that the House concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1015.
Thank you for the motion, Representative Hooten. Would you like to tell us why?
Yes, Madam Speaker. One amendment, I'm not crazy about it, but if that's what it takes to get this bill passed, it's fine with me. In jail time, you get to earn up to 12 days for a maximum of 15. The 3 additional days require extraordinary circumstances in order for them to be earned, and the Senate wanted to be specific about those extraordinary circumstances in the bill. So once again, I ask for concurrence.
Okay. Thank you, Representative Hooten. The question before us is whether we will concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1015. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please close the machine. With 61 yes votes, 4 no votes, motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1015 is passed. Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1015 as amended.
The question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1015 as amended. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please close the machine. With 63 yes votes, 2 no votes, the motion to repass as amended House Bill 1015 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. right, that takes us to our next order of business, which is general orders, second reading of bills. Representative Winter. Members, you have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Winter will take the chair. And while she does that, I want to say hello to the young women from Florence Critton who is here with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the court rule is relaxed. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1221.
House Bill 1221 by Representatives Willett and Pabon, al Senator Aguilar, concerning gray and black market marijuana enforcement efforts.
Representative Pabon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move House Bill 1221, the Finance Committee report and the Appropriations Committee report.
Thank you. To the Finance Committee report, or Appropriations Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, in the Appropriations Committee, we did put on a J amendment to allow for the funding of this program through the Department of Local Affairs, and that's what we accomplished in the Appropriations Committee. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriation Committee report. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The Appropriation Committee report is passed. To the Finance report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the Finance Committee report is the bill at this point, and essentially what we did is we laid out in great detail how the grant program should be awarded through a competitive process. Representative Willett will speak to, I'm sure, the amendment he put on focusing on rural communities. The other item that the committee report contains is basically giving caregivers a carve-out for assisting patients or others with the growing of their cultivation. Ask for an aye vote.
Representative Willett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, as my co-sponsor mentioned, in the original draft of the bill, it made it clear that these grants were to be prioritized to rural and those rural areas in particular financial need. In the strike below, it kind of lost some of that language, so we put an amendment on to put in the legislative declaration that it's both rural and needy law enforcement agencies that are given priority.
Is there any further discussion on the Finance Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the Finance Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The Finance Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Pabon.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. As stated earlier, the Finance Committee report is the bill. This was a bill that came out of the interim cost-benefit analysis committee over the summer. Thankfully, Representative Willett and I had an opportunity to serve on that together and work together on actually forming that committee. And this is an issue that needs to be addressed statewide in every corner of our jurisdiction to ensure that our law enforcement have the resources they need to make sure that any type of marijuana really, but in particular that which is grown under the auspices of a legal regime and then diverted onto the black market, is properly identified and dealt with. So ask for an aye vote.
Representative Willett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, members, we did hold that interim committee last year, and it was quite a lot of heavy lifting, very interesting. And of course, as you might imagine, given the debate on Friday and whatnot, there were only a few issues that we really, I think everyone agreed upon, and this was one of them. So we really appreciate your support in getting some training, some education, some funding to local law enforcement to get a handle on this. Just to put it in perspective, basically, these plants have become hybridized, so they cultivate more often, and the THC levels are so high that one plant generates about $3,000 worth of product in a year. So if you've got two roommates growing 6 each, 12 plants, you're looking at a $36,000 to $40,000 crop. You can't smoke that much. So inherently, we have created a market, a gray market, even with these low plant numbers. When you get the 99 plants, as we debated a lot, now you're looking at $300,000 to $400,000 of product that can enter into the gray market. The other thing we learned in committee, not only interim, but in our process on this bill, get these numbers. Just in the last 2 years, Colorado Springs has seen a 2,000% increase in the number of illegal grows. Broomfield, 670% increase. The West Slope has seen a 10-fold increase in illegal grows. Grows out stuck into agricultural crops, grows on the river bottoms, grows in the basements of apartments, grows in backyards. Aurora, in 2014, they had 2 illegal grows, went up to 7 illegal grows in 2015, and then all the way up to 161 grows. So we're seeing a precipitous rise in this problem. We got to get law enforcement the right training so they understand the laws and the right resources to go out and curtail this to protect our society. Thank you for an aye vote.
Representative Carver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in strong support of HB 1221 and was glad to be a co-sponsor on this bill. Our law enforcement in our local communities, particularly those that have the drug task forces, have simply been overwhelmed by the number of illegal pot grows and everything that flows from that. And so many of the large illegal pot grows involve criminal enterprises, the drug cartels, particularly transnational drug cartels. And so this bill, while more funding is needed beyond the grant program, this is a good start to begin to help our local jurisdictions deal with this huge law enforcement problem. So I urge a yes vote on 1221.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1221. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no.
2 to zip.
1221 passes. Madam Majority Leader Becker.
That's right. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1185 till Monday, March 20th.
Seeing no objections, House Bill 1185 will be laid over until Monday, March 20th. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 110.
Senate Bill 110 by Senators Crowder and Cafalas, House Representatives Danielson and Wilson, concerning expanding the number of unrelated children to no more than 4 to qualify for license-exempt family child care.
Representative Danielson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 110, and there is no committee report.
to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, colleagues, for your time and attention today. It was a real pleasure working with Representative Wilson on this important bill. We bring you Senate Bill 110. I bring this measure for all of the hardworking parents across the state who are struggling to find quality, affordable childcare. While daycare centers in Colorado provide high-quality, comprehensive care, currently they only have the capacity to take care of about 45% of the kids in the state under the age of 5. That means, while ideal, daycare centers are just not an option for most Colorado working parents. Rural Coloradans may live in areas where there is no daycare facility within reach. For example, when I was a kid, there was no daycare facility for our entire school district, which spanned 40 miles by 40 miles up in northern Weld County. So you could see that that poses a problem for people who need to drive that far. While the reasons may be different in suburban and urban communities, the complete lack of access to daycare facilities is a reality for many parents. In addition to all-out daycare deserts, parents may face long wait lists, limits on the number of infants accepted, astronomical costs for daycare centers, and other barriers when seeking childcare. So many parents look to friends, family members, or neighbors to fill the need for this childcare. Nannies and nanny shares are good options in many different situations. However, right now, it's only legal for child care providers in this kind of situation to look after 2 unrelated kids. What that results in are friends and family child care providers that may be operating illegally. We estimate there could be thousands of situations just like this. Because of the 2-child limit, they're not registering with the Department of Human Services, and that means that they're not getting critical training in safety and school readiness that they should be getting. This measure simply increases the number of unrelated kids a friend or family member can take care of from 2 to 4. It increases the safety for kids by allowing them to register and take training courses in home safety, sleep safety, and more. It will increase the availability of childcare by allowing these folks to network openly in their communities, so more parents will be aware of their options. It will increase the quality of care by instructing these folks on school readiness, and ultimately, it'll lower the cost of childcare for so many hardworking Colorado parents. We've added language in here that puts a 3-year limit on this measure so that we are monitoring the progress of this effort and may correct anything we see fit in the future. The bill came out of the Senate unanimously and out of committee with really strong bipartisan support. Also, colleagues, this bill has the support of many organizations that stand for the well-being of children and Colorado parents, including the Colorado Children's Campaign, Padres y Jóvenes Unidos, 9 to 5 Colorado, Colorado Center on Law and Policy, the Mile High United Way, the Junior League of Denver, the Colorado Association of Family and Children's Agencies, and PASO, Providers Advancing School Outcomes. And so we stand with confidence with these organizations for the safety and well-being of our kids. I thank you for your time and attention and your consideration of Senate Bill 110, and I respectfully ask for your support.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Danielson, for all your hard work on this bill. Folks, I know we have your rapt attention down here, but I just want to give you a heads up on what came out of the committee hearing on this bill. As members of the committee, as well as members who were in the audience, started listening to the conversation, they realized that their child care situation in their own home might not be legal. So it was kind of interesting to watch that occur. So this essentially addresses part of that. Without this bill, nothing changes, so all the needs that we have in the state of Colorado continue to go on. And I made the point in committee that we're not the pioneers here, folks. We've got 12 other states that have done this sort of thing before us. So as I gave the illustration in committee, we're not blazing our own trail. We're kind of like we're on the Oregon Trail. There's still going to be lots of bumps and ruts, but we know where we're headed. So I urge an aye vote on this.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to speak briefly in support of this bill as a father of a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Many of you got to meet my son Theo on Friday. But when I had children, there's a lot of challenges that you know are coming. The size and scope of what it takes to have 2 working parents have child care is not one of the ones that I really saw coming. And my wife and I are fortunate enough to have a great child care facility for both of our children. But the amount that it costs dramatically exceeds what many families in the state would be able to afford. And I think giving tools to folks throughout the states to be able to find an arrangement that works for them and to give parents the option of going this direction as far as taking care of their kids is a great idea. So I'm very grateful to the sponsors for bringing this bill and happy to support it.
Representative Pabon.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll be brief. I think Senate Bill 110 may very well be the most important bill that we pass this session, and I'm so grateful that Representative Wilson and Representative Danielson brought this bill, because essentially what's happening right now is with the cost of homes increasing, the cost of every good that we have, groceries and fuel and everything else going up, child care is no exception. And child care right now in Colorado is, if it's not the 4th highest, it's in the top 5 or top 10 highest expenses in the country. So if you think about this, everyone is getting squeezed in every different direction. And when we talk about child care, we're talking about caring for our children, but more importantly, our most vulnerable populations. We need to make sure that those who are caring for them have the tools in the toolbox, as Representative Danielson said, to get education and training. But more importantly, we need to give them the guidance and the feeling that what they're doing is right. Because what has been going on in every block, in every corner of my district, is families getting together who know each other well, have found that the cost of child care are too expensive, or frankly no spots in every child care facility in a 3 to 5 mile radius, and then trying to figure out another alternative. This is the alternative. They're doing the right thing. They're passing extensive background checks on their own, checking references, doing the things they should be doing. And now this simply says, let's keep the red tape off of this practice. Let's make sure it's legal, it's affordable, and we're making sure that our children are protected. Thanks again for bringing this most important bill of 2017.
Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I heard this bill in committee as well, and I think my reasons for voting yes were maybe slightly different than the ones that we just heard. And we just heard some great reasons for people that need childcare for their kids and choose to have it done in a home versus in a child care center. But people like me that had 4 children and that had maybe a few friends come over to play, theoretically, I'd be in violation of the statutes. And so for that reason, I actually urge a yes vote, because this deregulates just slightly, but enough so that people that know, there are plenty of people that can handle several children all at once, whether they're from different families or even stay-at-home moms that might have multiple children coming home. I think this is a great bill, so I urge an aye vote.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 110. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 110 passes. Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar till Tuesday, March 14th.
Seeing no objections, the balance of the calendar has been laid over until Tuesday, March 14th. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that we rise and report.
You've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
Randall please read the report of the Committee of the Whole?
Madam Speaker, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report it has under its consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, makes the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1221 is amended, passed on second reading, and ordered engrossed to place on the calendar for third reading, final passage. Senate Bill 110 passed on second reading, and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading, final passage. Senate Bill 17, Senate Bill 62, Senate Bill 194 laid over until March 14th, 2017, retaining their place on the calendar. House Bill 1185 laid over until March 20th, 2017, retaining its place on the calendar.
Representative Winter. Members, you have heard the motion. There are no amendments at the desk. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Representative Buck, Representative Buckner, Representative Covarrubias, Representative Exum, Representative Herod, Representative Hooton, Representative Landgraf, Representative Lebsack, Representative Lewis, Representative Liston, Representative Willett, Representative Wist, Representative West. Representative Cole West. It's gonna at least be $1. I think we should start doing a countdown. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Representative West, that will be a $5 fine. With 63 yes votes, 2 no votes, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. $5 today, please. With that, we are to announcements and introductions. Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, the Agriculture, Livestock, and Natural Resource Committee meets in room 271. I'll say that again, 271. First up, Senate Bill 135. It's available for remote testimony. Next up, 1226. It's available for the news. 1190, 1008, 1033. See you there.
And members, I want to announce that Representative Wilson will replace Representative Landgraf on the House Public Healthcare and Human Services Committee for Tuesday, March 14th only. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, you should have on your desk the announcement of the Bible study tomorrow morning downstairs. We've got a great turnout from both sides of the aisle. We invite everyone who's been there before to come, and those of you that haven't made it, come on down. It's a great time of fellowship. Thank you.
Members, I have one more announcement. Representative McLaughlin will be added as a co-prime to House Bill 1176. Representative Winter and Minority Leader Neville.
Hello, members. I just want to thank all of you who brought in diapers or made donations because we did beat the Senate.
Yeah.
Overall, we collected 2,037 diapers, and we collected 1,177 to the Senate's meager 860, and then we raised all the money.
And we raised $370 as well, which I believe the Senate raised $0. So thank you guys.
Thanks.
Further announcements or introductions? Minority Leader Neville back for round 2 and Assistant Majority Leader Garnett.
Members, the real March Madness bracket came out last night, but the one that matters most to all of you has an update today. Don't forget to vote in the Colorado License Plate Tournament. We have the Colorado Designer Plate, whatever that is, versus the National Guard License Plate, and the Girl Scouts versus Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Please vote.
Yes, members, and thank you, Madam Speaker. So today, for an update on Friday's matchup, Silver Star blew out the University of Colorado 28-4, and Colorado Rockies unfortunately continue to lose. They lost to the USS Colorado 23-9.
Thank you for that update. Again, I think that we should refer these votes to the people of Colorado and let the people decide. Representative Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, I just wanted to remind you that tomorrow night we have the Colorado Stone Sand and Gravel Association at the Governor's Mansion at 5:30.
Further announcements or introductions? Representative Lee and Representative Lee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just another announcement that the Veterans Caucus is meeting at noontime to talk about veteran issues, and we'd appreciate any support and people who are interested in learning more about issues facing veterans. Noontime downstairs in 112, I think. Thank you.
Representative Ledeen.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, you saw on the front page of the Gazette today, above the fold, a story about Lewis Palmer School District, D38. That happens to be my home school district, and we will have in the building today about 75 students from that district. The Lewis Palmer Elementary School students will be in the building today. So if you see them, tell them that Rep. Lundeen is the best representative.
Further announcements or introductions? Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So members, just or in my best British accent, members, just a reminder, so we have a luncheon with the British Consul General on Thursday at noon. I do sincerely hope that all of you will be there because it's wonderful for us to interact with all of our friends and partners around the world. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Not bad. Further announcements or introductions? Further announcements or introductions? Seeing no further announcements or introductions. Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that we stand in recess till 1:30 today.
You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess.